Hello, 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 hello. Happy Monday, happy new week. Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing on this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day? Hello, 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 hello. Thanks for joining. Listen, if you are just jumping on, I want you to go ahead and drop where you are joining in from the chat. I love to see where everybody is coming from. Today's conversation is going to be a good one. I say that every time because these are usually good conversations, right? Am I just making that up? I know it's just not me who thinks these are good conversations. Today, we're going to be talking about the fact that nobody, Lottie, Dottie, and nobody is coming to discover you. Lottie, Dottie, and nobody is coming to discover you. That is what we are going to be getting into today, okay? So, welcome back to another episode of Nick at Noon. My name is Nick Scott. I am the founder and CEO of Her Income Edit. We're an online education platform designed to help women turn their existing skills into coaching income, digital products, and online businesses so they can earn more, depend less on traditional employment, and design a life on their terms. If you haven't already, you might want to go get your notebook, your pen, whatever it is that you take notes on. Go get your water, your coffee, your tea, whatever it is that you're gonna, whatever beverage of your choice is, go get it. Because I want you to settle in and stay with me for this one because again, this is going to be a great conversation. Share the link to this video in the group chat. Share this link of this video to share the link of this video with your biz bestie. Share it with a friend who says that she really wants to do something for herself. Share it to the friend that's been talking about this for a while because listen, we're going to be getting into it. And I want to jump right into this conversation because I want to talk about something that I have been thinking about for a long time. And it's one of those things that the more I say it out loud, the more I realize that almost nobody is actually clearly saying it. And I feel like this is why so many women are stuck right now. This what I'm getting ready to talk about. This is why I believe so many women are stuck right now. And this isn't because you're not smart enough or because you're lazy or because you don't have good ideas. A lot of you are stuck because you're waiting. A lot of you are stuck because you're waiting. And here's what I want you to do right now. I just want you to be honest with yourself for a second. I want you to be honest with yourself for a second. I'm getting ready to go through a list of things, and I want you to be honest if you're doing any of these things. You don't have to put it in the chat. It might be cathartic or therapeutic if you're taking notes to write it down in your notebook. But this is just going to be a self-inventory, a self-audit, a self-assessment, okay? Have you been waiting until you have more time? Have you been waiting until you save up enough money? Have you been waiting until you feel more confident? Waiting until your kids are older? Waiting for your job to slow down? Are you waiting for until the moment feels right? Are you waiting for someone to notice how good you are at what you do and tell you that? Are you waiting for a promotion that's going to change everything for you? Are you waiting for the opportunity that finally feels custom made and bespoke? It was literally tailor made just for you. Are you waiting for that? If you answered yes to any of those questions, I just want you to take note of that, see how it feels. If you feel compelled and led to, you can drop a yes in the chat because what I'm about to tell you, if you answered yes to any of those questions, what I'm getting ready to tell you, it really matters. Like this conversation this is a serious one. Here's the thing. Nobody's coming to discover you. And I know that might sting a little bit, but I say it with so much love because I had to learn this the hard way myself. Listen, we grew up in systems that are designed to reward patience, that are designed to reward compliance. Like you do the right thing, you show up, you work hard, and eventually the right people are going to start to notice, right? You get selected, you get picked, and then opportunities will find you. That's the way we were taught. And that model, it did work for a while. It worked in a world that doesn't quite exist the same way that it used to anymore. Because here is the truth. The economy has shifted. The employment landscape has changed. The definition of what safety is, that has completely changed. But the mindset part that most of us are still operating from, the mindset hasn't moved not one teeny tiny bit. We are still in the waiting room that nobody has staffed. Nobody's staffing this waiting room. And I don't want that for you. So I want to spend my time here today. I want to start to just pull back the curtain on something that I think is going to change how you see your income. I think it's going to change how you see your skills. I think it's going to change how you see your future. I'm not going to be talking about everyday hustling. We are not everyday we hustling over here. I'm not going to be encouraging you to quit your job and become an entrepreneur. We don't do that either. I'm going to be talking about something specific, something strategic. And honestly, I'm going to be talking about something that most women already have all the pieces for. They just haven't been shown how to put them together. So whether you've been thinking about creating a second stream of income for months, or you just started wondering if what you know could actually make money outside of your job, you are in exactly the right place today. So again, go get your notebooks and your pens or whatever it is you take notes on. Share the link to this video in the group chat with your biz bestie. Make sure you have your water. It has been hot in these streets this summer, so stay hydrated, okay? Go get your water. I want you to settle in, get comfortable, because we are going to have a real transparent conversation today, okay? Listen, I want you just to, I'm getting ready to paint you a picture, okay? You have spent years, maybe a decade or more, building your career. You went to school, you got credentials, you have logged the hours, you have a reputation, and inside that career, you got really, really good at something. Maybe you're the person that everybody comes to when they don't know how to handle a situation. Maybe you're the one who can take the most chaotic circumstances and make them make sense. Maybe you solve problems that other people can't quite articulate, right? Maybe you manage systems, maybe you manage people, emotions, budgets, client relationships, and you do this in a way that would fall apart if you weren't there. Listen, you are good at what you do, and you know it, and Lottie Dottie and everybody else knows it too. But here's what's crazy to me. All of that skill and that capability, all of the accumulated knowledge and expertise and experience, you have been trading it exclusively for one paycheck. One stream of income, one source, and that right there, that one paycheck, it can be disrupted at any time. And I am not saying that to scare you, y'all. I'm trying to wake you up. I'm doing my best. Wake up! Like on school days, y'all remember that? Wake up! Seriously. Because most of us don't think about the fragility of a single income stream until something forces us to think about it. Something like a layoff, a restructure, a health situation, a family emergency, a company that decides on any given Wednesday just to go in a different direction, a team that gets consolidated, or a contract that doesn't renew for you. Wake up! Let me ask you something. When was the last time you looked at your financial life and you asked yourself, if this one thing stopped, what would I do? What would you do? If your paycheck stopped today, tomorrow, what would you do? Not in a panicked way. I'm asking you to clearly think about this and to clearly look at this, because here's what I know about the women that I work with. They are not irresponsible. They're not unaware. They've just been operating in a system that told them that income diversification was for investors and portfolios, and they weren't for everyday people. Listen, income diversification is risk mitigation, period. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. When investors put money into multiple assets, they're not doing it because they're greedy. They're doing it because they understand that concentration of risk is one of the most dangerous things that you can do with something that you care about. And your income, that is something that I know you carry very much about. Your 9 to 5 was never designed to be your only plan, y'all. And I want to be careful about how I say that, because I am not anti-job. I am not anti-corporate. I am not anti-stability. I am not anti-getting paid in full, on time, every time. I am not anti that, because listen, jobs are wonderful. They're great. They have a purpose. Benefits are wonderful. They're great. Getting paid time off is wonderful, and it is great. Consistent paychecks that are paid in full and on time every time are wonderful, and they're great. But listen, jobs were never designed to be the single leg or the whole stool of a three-legged financial stool. So think about a three-legged stool, right? 3 legs, 1, 2, 3. I wish I could draw right now, okay? And right now, the stool is sitting on one leg. That is not a stable structure. Listen, at some point in our history, pension plans disappeared. I don't even know if by the time my kids are eligible, if Social Security is even going to be a thing. It might be a thing for me, but I don't know if it's going to be a thing for my kids. And it's certainly, if I have grandchildren, it certainly will not be a thing for them. The whole, this is your job for life, that thing is gone with the wind, okay? And nobody has ever taken time to update the manual for how women are supposed to navigate their financial futures in light of all of this. In light of the fact that there's no more pensions, in light of the fact that Social Security is going to be gone in the next half a generation or so. So we just keep doing everything that we're taught. We were taught to show up, we were taught to work hard, and we were taught to wait. And then we wonder why we feel so financially anxious even when we're doing everything quote unquote right. Listen, hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. I see the love on YouTube. I want to introduce you to a concept that I come back to over and over and over and over and over and over and over again in the work that I do. Your skills are not just your job description. They are your assets. And if you are taking notes, I want you to write this down in your notebook, and I want you to personalize this thing. I want you to write down, my skills are not just my job description. My skills are assets. And here's the thing, an asset is something that can generate value. And your skills, the things that you know, the way that you think, the problems you solve, the systems you built, all of those are things that have the ability to generate income outside of a single employer's paycheck. But we have been trained to see our skills as our employer's property during work hours. And then we think our skills become irrelevant after 5 o'clock. And that right there is the lie that I want to dismantle today. The lie, the L-I-E, because your skills belong to you. And you've spent years, sometimes decades, developing your skills. And the question that I want you to start thinking about, I don't want you to think about the question of, do I have something valuable? Because you do, you know you do. Your employer knows you do. The question that I want you to start thinking about is, where else can this value that I have, where else can it go? Where else can it go? Now, I want to give a different perspective on something that tends to make people uncomfortable when I bring this up. Okay, so I don't want you to click off this video. I want you to stay with me because most people think about income diversification the wrong way. They think it means having multiple jobs. They think it means every day I'm hustling, grinding all my life. They think it's multiple side hustles. They think it's multiple plates spinning in the air. Listen, they think it means exhaustion layered on top of exhaustion. They think it means more hours, more stress, and more complexity. And that's why women do not do it. Because who has time for that? Ain't nobody got time for that. Seriously. But I'm not talking about that. I am talking about a business model where your additional streams of income, they are built on what you already know. Not what you need to learn from scratch. I'm not talking about a second career. You don't need to get a new degree. I'm talking about with what you already know that's packaged in a way that creates income with far more flexibility than your primary job. That's what I'm talking about. And when you build income that's based on your knowledge and your skills, you stop trading time for money in the traditional sense. Because at that point, you start to create leverage. And leverage, listen, leverage will change everything about how you start to experience financial safety. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. Now, I want to get a little bit more specific right now because I could sit here and talk about income diversification at a very surface level, and you would just nod along. You'd be like, yep, Nick, yep. And you would feel inspired. And then you would click off this video and then you would go back to your life exactly as it was. And I don't want that. So I want to go deeper. One of the most powerful and accessible ways that women are building second streams of income right now is through coaching. And before you shut that idea down, before the voice in your head says, but I'm not a coach, I need you to just pause, take a beat, okay? Because coaching is not what most people think it is. Coaching is not about being a celebrity influencer. It is not about having millions and millions of followers. It is not about being the most credentialed person in a room. It is not about having a perfect life that you package and sell. There are several things that you are not going to see Nick Scott do in her ecosystem. And that is sell you on my lifestyle. You're not going to catch me talking about work from anywhere and that's the thing that I'm selling. You're not going to see me on a beach talking about look at me working from anywhere. I'm not going to sell you a lifestyle because that might not be attractive to you. You know what I'm saying? Like the way that I live my life might not be what you want for your life. But what I am going to sell you is options. I am going to sell you financial safety so you have the option to live the lifestyle that you want to live. I'm going to sell you that, right? I'm not going to sell you my lifestyle. I'm not going to get up on here and teach you from a Google Doc. I will never do that. I sell a premium product, and I believe that you deserve a premium experience. I'm not going to say something that I'm going to do and then not do it. If I say that I'm doing Nick at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Mountain Time, guess what? She gonna be here. She's gonna be here. So there are a few things that I'm just not going to do that you'll see other coaches do. And let's be clear, I love my life. I live a great life. But if it takes me to give you full access into my lifestyle and how I live to try to convince you to sell products because some kind of way I'm making you feel like if you work with me that you can live the same kind of life that I live, that feels a little, what did the young people say? That's cringe. That's the ick, right? No, that's not it. But I do want you to have options for yourself. And that's why I'm here. That's why Her Income Edit exists. So that you can edit your income and rewrite the story of your life. Not try to aspire and live the life that I live. Okay? Listen, coaching at its core is all about taking what you know, what you've lived, what you figured out, and helping someone else shortcut their path by learning from your experience. Because you have already done this. You have already done the thing. You've done it 10, 20, 45 times. Think about the last time a friend or a coworker or a family member, they came to you with a problem in an area that you have experience in. Think about it. You probably sat down with them or texted with them or got on a call with them, and you asked the right questions. You helped them see what they couldn't see on their own, and you gave them a perspective. You gave them a framework. You gave them a next step that they didn't have before. And that right there is coaching. You naturally do this. The difference between what you did in that conversation that I just described and what a coach who gets paid to do this does, a professional coach, the difference between you and me is structure, is positioning, and it's getting paid for it. Now, I want to say something that I feel like is going to completely shift this perspective. We live in a culture that undervalues lived experience and over indexes formal credentials. We give way too much credit to formal credentials and we undervalue lived experience. And I understand why, okay? Stay with me. I understand why. But here's the thing. That model was built for traditional academic world. It was built for a traditional academic world, and it doesn't translate cleanly into this coaching space. You know how many coaches are out here making 6 and 7 figures that don't... I know a coach who is a 7-figure coach that doesn't even have a high school diploma. We place way too much value, especially us educated folks. We place way too much value in credentials and not enough value in lived experience. You don't have to be the world's leading expert. You don't have to have a PhD in the thing. Now, it helps build some credibility now. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. I add my credential at the end of my name just like everybody else, okay? Because it does help with credibility. But it's not a requirement, is what I'm saying, okay? It is not a requirement. That model was built for an academic world, and it does not cleanly translate into this space because people do not hire coaches because the coach has a degree or a certificate on the wall. They hire coaches because the coach has walked the path that they want to walk. They hire the coach because the coach has navigated a problem that they need to solve. People hire coaches because the coach has built something that they want to build. Listen, your lived experience is your qualification. Your career experience is your qualification. The 10,000 hours that you have put into your craft to become an expert, that wasn't just a requirement for your job. That is the credential that you need to start coaching. Let me give you a different lens to look at this through. I want you to imagine two people. One has a certification in financial coaching from a program that she completed online. The other woman, she has spent 15 years as a chief financial officer. She has been managing multi-billion-dollar budgets. She has been leading finance teams and helping organizations turn around their financial health. Which one of those people do you hire? You hire the one who got the certificate in financial coaching from a program that she completed online, or are you going to hire the CFO? I know which one I would hire. Now, would the CFO be more appealing if she also had a certificate, if she also had a credential, if she also had letters after her name? 100%. Most people, though, if they're being honest, they're going to hire the same person that I said I would hire every single time Because again, your experience is your credential. And if you have credentials on top of that credential, it does make you more valuable in this space. It does make you more credible in this space. But I don't want you to devalue your experience anymore. I want to go even one layer deeper on this, because this is where I see women get stuck most often. There is this belief, and it is so deeply ingrained that most people don't even recognize it as a belief, because it just feels like it's a fact at this point. And that belief is, I can't teach what I know because Lottie Dottie and everybody else knows it. Can you feel how persuasive that is? Pervasive that is? Can you feel how pervasive that is? Because we look at what we know and then we think that it's obvious. We think that the things that we do are basic. We think that because we know it and we know how to do it, surely everybody knows how to do it. So we start to think that there's nothing special about what we do. We start to believe that what we do naturally and organically, that it's nothing worth charging for. And let me tell you something, that belief is costing you so much more than you realize. Because here is what's true. What feels obvious to you has only become obvious because you've put in the years to learn it. It wasn't always obvious to you. You didn't always know how to do it. And someone else, someone who hasn't put in the same time as you, they would pay good money to have you help them shortcut that learning curve. The teacher doesn't think that the lesson is hard. Ever. A professor in a college classroom teaching organic chemistry, the weed out course for MDs, the organic chemistry teacher doesn't think that organic chemistry is hard. But to the student, organic chemistry can be life-changing. Once they learn it, once they pass the class, once they're able to pass that MCAT and get on their way through medical school, here's the thing, your obvious is someone else's breakthrough. And that gap between where you are and where someone wants to be, that is where your coaching income lives. So I want to give you a different way of thinking about this. I want you to stop thinking about coaching as something that you need to become. And I want you to start thinking about it as something that you already are. And I want you to start thinking about it as something that you haven't monetized yet. Because you are already solving problems. You are already sharing wisdom. You are already helping people move forward. Listen, the only question here is whether you're doing it for free as a favor, or whether you've created a structure around that thing that allows you to do it in a sustainable way and get paid for the value you create. This is not about becoming somebody different. This is about seeing who you already are through a completely different lens. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. How are y'all doing on this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day? Happy Monday. Happy New Week. Thanks for joining. I see the love on YouTube. Now, I want to get real honest with you about something, and I hope that you will put yourself in a space to receive this. Because there is a version of this conversation where I just inspire and motivate you, where I can share some great perspectives and you feel real good, you feel seen, you feel a little fired up, and then this live stream ends and then nothing changes. And I don't want that to be the conversation for you. So I want to talk about the cost of waiting. Remember, we started off this conversation talking about waiting, and if you missed it, I encourage you to run this back on replay and get caught up on what you missed if you're just joining live. So I want to talk about the cost of waiting right now, okay? Because we tend to think that not making a decision about something, we think about it like it's neutral. that staying in the same place is safe. We think about it like, oh, we're good. It's all good. We think about it like putting something off, like it doesn't cost us anything, but it does. Because every month that you don't have a second stream of income is a month that you're carrying 100% of your financial risk in one place. Remember, we talked about that three-legged stool earlier? We talked about that three-legged stool. If you missed that conversation, again, if you're just joining live, I encourage you to go back through and watch this one on replay. It'll be on my YouTube channel. But every month that you tell yourself that I'll think about this later, that is a month that someone else is building the thing that you could be building. Every month that you downplay what you know is a month that you're walking past an asset that you already own. And there is a compounding effect to this. And it's not just financial, y'all. It's psychological. Because the longer you don't do something, the more evidence you start to collect that you can't do it. Because there's a voice that starts getting louder in your head, in your mind, and it starts saying, maybe this isn't for me. It gets louder every month you wait, the longer you put something off. The window of possibility in your own mind, it starts to get smaller. And what started as, I'll get to this eventually, it starts to feel like, I guess that was never really for me. That's psychology. Listen, that is your mind playing tricks on you. And that voice, those things, that psychological trick, that's not a fact. That is just what delaying things, that's just what it does to us. I want to bring up something else that I think a lot about. Your job can be restructured at any time with 2 weeks notice, with no weeks notice. And the thing is, you have no legal right to keep it. You have no legal right to keep it. And that's not pessimism. Like, you don't have to keep a job that's been restructured. I'm not being pessimistic. That right there is the employment contract that most of us are operating under. And I'm not saying that your job is bad. I'm not saying that your employer is not trustworthy. I'm saying that putting 100% of your financial safety into something that you have zero control over is a risk that deserves to be talked about. On a frequent and consistent basis, it needs to be talked about. Because when you fully recognize and call that risk what it is, you can do something about it. What would it mean for you to have a stream of income that you own? And that is not a rhetorical question. What would it mean? What would it mean to you to have a stream of income that you control? Not a stream of income that can be affected by a merger or a new manager or a budget cut or a restructuring or a performance review that's influenced by someone who doesn't even particularly like you. I'm talking about, what would it mean for you to have a stream of income that you built, that you control, and that exists because you exist and you know what you know? What would it mean for you to have that? Because what I'm talking about is not a fantasy. It is a business model. And I'm going to say something else that I want you to really, 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 really hear when I say this. You don't have to build an empire. You don't even have to replace your whole salary. You don't have to quit your job. You don't have to become a full-time entrepreneur. I said it earlier. I sell options. That's what you need. You need options. You need the option if you want to build an empire, if you want to replace your full salary, if you want to quit your job, if you want to become a full-time entrepreneur. You need options. Options change the way you move through the world. Because when you have options, you don't have to tolerate your manager who talks to you sideways. When you have options, you don't have to accept a lateral move because you can't afford not to. When you have options, you don't have to stay in your job or in a job that is burning you out because it's the only paycheck that you have coming in. Options, literally, y'all, are the difference between feeling trapped and feeling free. Even if your external circumstances look exactly the same. That's what we're talking about here. Let's get to it. Let's get to the real. And options coming, the option and when options come from having more than one income stream, baby. Listen, I want to talk about something that I know is probably at the top of mind for some of you watching this right now because I hear it all the time. And that is, I want to do this. I believe in this, but I don't know where to start. That sentence, that exact frame, those words that I just said, that is the reason people who are more than capable of building something incredible, that is the reason why they stay exactly where they are for years. Because they're waiting for clarity to start. But clarity doesn't usually come before action. Clarity comes during the action. I say it all the time. The genius is in the doing, not the thinking, not the getting ready to get ready to get ready. Listen, the people who have figured out how to build skills-based income, they didn't start with the perfect plan. I didn't start with the perfect plan. We started with what we know, what we knew, what we know how to do. We got structured support and we built as we learned. And then guess what? Clarity in this, it comes from doing the work. The genius is in the doing. You do not think your way into your next stream of income. That's not how this works. You can't think about it. It's not like, is that osmosis? No, that's not osmosis. What is it where you just think about something and it happens? You have to build your way into your next stream of income. Now, I want to give you something that you can actually leave here today with. I want to give you a way of seeing your own readiness that's more useful than anything you've probably heard before. Because most people think about a coaching income stream. They think it requires 5 things. They think it requires a big following, a lot of time, a lot of money, a clear niche, and some magical confidence that they don't currently have. Listen, we talked about the requirements earlier in this conversation, and none of that, what I just said, those are not requirements either. Because here's what I see work. The first thing you need is a skill set that someone else would pay to learn. You need a shortcut or that someone would pay to get this shortcut, or someone would pay to implement this faster because of you. And you already have this. We've established that earlier in this conversation. The second thing that you need is a clear understanding of who it is that you help, what problem you help them solve, and what problem you help them solve. And that clarity, it comes from work and it comes from conversation. It doesn't come from sitting alone and hoping that inspiration will somehow just strike you. And the third thing that you need is a way to communicate your value in language that connects with the person that you're trying to help. I'm not talking about corporate language. I'm not talking about jargon. I'm talking about human to human dialogue that makes someone feel understood. Do you know how many times I come on these live streams and I get messages, sometimes they're live, sometimes they're emails, where someone says, "You are reading my mind. You are talking about me. Oh my gosh, I feel that." You know how many times that happens? That doesn't happen by accident. The fourth thing that you need is a structured approach to delivering the transformation that you're promising. So you need to be able to take someone from point A to point B in a reliable and repeatable way. And that right there is what separates a coach who gets referrals from a coach who doesn't get referrals. And then the fifth thing that you need, and this is the one that most people skip, you need a strategy for getting that in front of the people that you can help. I'm going to go through that one more time. The first thing that you need is a skill set that someone else would pay to learn. The second thing you need is a clear understanding of who you help and what problem you help them solve. The third thing you need is a way for you to communicate your value in language that connects with the person that you're trying to help. And the fifth thing that you need, and this is the one, again, that most people skip, this is the strategy for getting in front of the people that you can help. And I want you to notice what is not on that list. Again, a big following is not on that list. Creating viral content is not on that list. Years of experience as a coach is not on that list. A fully built website is not on that list. Having everything figured out before you can start is not on that list. And you know what's real interesting about the 5 things that I just talked about? They are all learnable. Every single one of them you can learn. And none of them require you to be born with something special. None of them require a talent that you don't have. What it requires is a framework. It requires a strategy. And it requires support while you're building this, while you're working through this. Because there's a significant difference between knowing you can build something and actually having the structure to build it. There's a difference between knowing and doing. And I have talked to so many women who have spent months and years trying to figure this out on their own. They are consuming content. They're joining free challenges. They're downloading lead magnets. They're sitting in discovery calls with coaches who weren't the right fit. And this isn't because you're not capable. Listen, this is because you're trying to build a house, but you don't have the blueprint. And the women that I have seen make the fastest and most sustainable progress in this, they got clear on their direction. They got a framework and they executed with support. And that right there, it is not a longer path. It's a shorter one. I've taken the path. I've taken the path. Listen, I am not telling you to do something that I didn't do myself. You are not listening to this by accident. You're not listening. You're not watching this video by accident. You didn't stumble into this live stream on a random Monday afternoon because you had nothing better to do with your time. You are here because something in you, it's been giving you a nudge. It's been like, hey girl, there is a quiet voice inside you that says there has to be more than this. There's a restlessness that doesn't go away even on good days. It's in you. There's a curiosity about what you're actually capable of outside the walls of your current job. You're curious. This isn't a crisis, y'all. That's your next chapter knocking. That is your next chapter knocking. Are you going to answer the door? I want to introduce you to the thing that I built exactly for this moment. Ignite is my 12-week group coaching program, and it is for professional women who are ready to build a skills-based stream of income through coaching, and they want to do it starting now. So over 12 weeks, we take everything you already know, everything you've spent years, everything you've spent decades developing, and we build a real positioned income generating coaching business around it. We work through your positioning, we work through your offer, your messaging, your strategy for getting clients, and we work through the real delivery structure that lets you coach in a way that gets results for your clients and sustainable income for you. Now listen, Ignite is not a course that you are going to just watch and forget or never open. This is not a mastermind where you're going to pay to be in a room and nobody holds you accountable. Ignite is a structured 12-week hands-on program where you build the thing while we support you in building it. I designed Ignite because I kept watching women who absolutely 100% had what it takes, but they stay stuck because they didn't have a framework. And that felt like a problem that I could actually solve. So enrollment is open right now. So if you drop the word Ignite in the comments, I will get you the direct link so you can see exactly what we cover. You can see what this path looks like. Or you can take it upon yourself and you can go right to my website at herincomeedit.com/ignite. And the link is also down in the description. And I want to be very transparent with you about this because I keep the cohorts small for this. And I keep it that way on purpose because the kind of work that we do inside Ignite, it requires real attention. It requires real conversation. It requires real support. So this is not a program where you're just going to be a number. So if any of this is resonating with you, if any of this is stirring up something in you, I want you to act on that feeling. I'm not putting pressure on you, and I'm not going to pressure you. I talked about some of the things that I will and will not do in my business a little bit earlier in this conversation. But I'm saying I want you to act on that feeling because you've been sitting in the waiting room long enough. Here's the thing about all this. Your skills didn't accidentally become valuable. You did that. You built that. You showed up. You learned. You figured things out. You got good at something. It wasn't luck. That was you, boo. That was you. It's always been you. And if you can build all of what you've built inside of someone else's structure, if you can build all of what you've built inside of someone else's timeline, if you can build what you have built inside of someone else's job description, I just want you to imagine what you're capable of building inside of your own. Here's the deal. Nobody's coming to discover you. But that's not a reason for you to give up. It's a reason for you to stop waiting and start building. And the woman that you're becoming, she doesn't live in a waiting room. She is already taking action. She is already in motion. And I want to help you catch up to her, okay? So you can drop the word Ignite in the chat. You can go to my website directly at herincomeedit.com/ignite, or you can click the link in the description. Let's build this thing. Let's do it. Let's do it. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. Listen, I want to thank each and every one of you for popping in and out of today's conversation. If it stirred up something in you, if you learned something, let me know what your biggest takeaway is. Drop it down in the comments. What was your biggest takeaway from this conversation? Okay? My name is Nick Scott. This has been another episode of Nick at Noon. I am here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Mountain Time. If you haven't already, I want you to hit the subscribe button, turn your bell notifications on so you do not miss a beat. Thanks again for joining, and I will see y'all in the next one. Okay? Bye.